For one, under me, the new tax plan will involve cutting taxes to common people, while increasing them up to $1 million for the top 1% that can afford the $1 million tax increase. That will go towards funding government programs and to ultimately employ working class people who are testing new vaccines, therefore allowing us to get back to normal faster. By having a lot more people to test vaccines, and therefore are allowing for a lot faster clinical trials. Also, your 401ks would stay the same unless you were making over $1 million. Then there'd be the tax of $1 million applied, as well as new taxes for corporations. The corporations would get taxed at least $1 million per shipping fee. Therefore allowing the government to collect more revenue to put towards a vaccine testing program, as well as environmental regulations and safety to improve the environment for future generations. The lower class people would have lower tax rates, and the higher class people would have their taxes increased by $1 million. The 1% of the 1% of people would have their taxes raised by $1 million, therefore allowing the government to fund this vaccine testing program. That would essentially mean that the vaccine would be developed faster and people could get back to work sooner, therefore enabling big businesses to once again and have workers rather than have these layoffs. If you have over $1 billion sitting in your bank account, that's the 1% of the 1% I was talking about, whose taxes will go up. The tax increase won't apply to ordinary folk like us, especially not to working class adults and parents especially. However, big businesses will have all these taxes. That could affect the prices by driving it higher. However, with the government employment plan, people would earn enough money to cover the expenses. Now, during my administration, and certain things will change for the wealthy that wouldn't change for the common people, like taxes would go up, as well as corporations would be taxed also. And all the tax loopholes for the rich would be closed. Of course, these loopholes wouldn't affect common people, but they would affect the 1%. This tax plan needs to be a bipartisan bill that passes in both the House of Representatives and the Senate. And if the Republicans notice that the 1% get the tax raise, they probably won't want to do it. The plan for the vaccine program will ultimately improve the chances of a vaccine being developed by late 2021 at the least. Or the earliest. However, chances are the vaccine would be not taken by the anti-vaxxer movement. I am way smarter than Athena, and therefore I should be elected president of these United States. I obviously have good planning capabilities. Otherwise I wouldn't have come up with such a great tax plan. And in the meantime, I'm do everything you can to spread the news about my presidential run.